I can start, ma'am.
Okay. Can you see the PPT?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let us start it. Meghna has joined. Meghna, good evening.
Yeah, Meghna is traveling somewhere, so she joining, but she will not be able to speak. And both are. Subir is also having no network issue. That's why his mic is not appearing. So maybe with the passage of time they will join. Please start.
Okay. Okay. See, first of all, let us understand what is a project. A project is something which has got a definite starting point and a definite end. For example, if you build a house, that is a project, because you will be starting one day, the time you have bought the land and then you started the foundation, there will be some definite time.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
then one day you will be finishing that project, house, construction of the house. Suppose you are constructing a shop, that is also a project. Suppose you are throwing a party at your house, that is also a project. You are making a movie, that is also a project. But maintaining that house, that is not a project, that is ongoing. Till the house is there, the maintaining it will be there. Suppose you have made a road, that is a project, but maintaining that road is not a project. So, and there are basically three types of project organization. Structures are there. One is your functional, second is your dedicated, and third is your mixed or hybrid or matrix, whatever you call it. In dedicated, what you do is you have a dedicated team for the project. For example, these days, now, like suppose you are throwing a birthday party at your house. So the people of your house only will be deciding what to do, what items will be there, what will be your menu, things like that. Everything about the party, when the party should be held, if there has to be a dress code for the party, they'll decide. So that is a functional structure, where the organization itself provides the people to work in the project. Each has its own advantages as well as disadvantages. Dedicated is that when you have a dedicated team to look after the project. For example, these days, there are event managers or event management groups which organize this party for you. You don't have to do anything. You just give them the money and they'll do everything for you. So that is the dedicated sort of a structure. Then you can have hybrid or matrix, where some things will be done by the organization and some part will be dedicated outside the organization. So these are the three basic types of project organization. Now, here we use two very famous techniques to draw the network, how the project will proceed. So for that, first of all, we have to break down the project into individual events. Like suppose if you are making a house, then first thing is getting the design passed, made by the architect, then passed by the municipality, then the foundation will be there, then your building of the walls, windows, doors, things like that, all the plumbing, electrical work, all these will be done. And then finally the roof. Like you can have certain variation also. Like some people might first make till the roof and then start all this plumbing, etc. Some might do it along with the walls when it is being made, whatever it is. But these are the different things you have to do. Whether the sequence will depend upon the person who is designing the project. So this is, you're breaking down the project into individual events. So this is known as work breakdown structure. And this helps you in allocating responsibilities to different people, what they have to do. Like naturally, for doing the plumbing work, a plumber has to be given the responsibility. For doing the electrical work, an electrician has to be given the responsibility, and so on and so forth. Like suppose even in a house, if you are arranging a birthday party, then naturally, generally, the birthday party is held on the day of the birthday. So you'll decide the date on this, then you'll know what will be the menu for the party, what games, etc. has to be done, some music, some games. So that has to be decided. Then you will proceed accordingly. So you will make a network of the whole project. That is done by these two very famous techniques. One is your critical path method, and second is your program evaluation and review techniques. These are project management techniques which have been created out of Western industrial and military establishment to plan. This is very important. Plan. Plan, schedule, and control. Naturally, you'll plan how will you move about with the project. Then you'll have to schedule how much time each event will take. Then you draw a network of that whole project. And then when you are actually the project is moving, you can monitor it. And when you're monitoring it, you can control the project, whether it is simple project or complex project. Now see, these two techniques were developed by two different groups, but they are very similar in nature. There are certain differences, but basically they are same. One was developed by an industrial house, DuPont and Remington, and that also in Europe. And after that, another technique, that is Pert, which is program evaluation and review technique. It was developed during Second World War by US Navy. They were planning to develop a polarized missile. For that, they had developed this technique. And now that is why it is also a part of our operations research. Operations research means war operations. So several mathematical and statistical techniques were developed during that time, and now they are being used by management to work out the different activities which are involved in any organization. CPM, PERT, or network analysis is the technique, as the technique is sometimes called, developed along two parallel streams, one industrial and other military. CPM was the discovery of M.R. Walker of E.I. DuPont, D. Nemours and Company, and J.E. Kelly of Remington Rand in 1957. And the computer which was used for developing this was UNIVAC 1 computer. The computation was designed for UNIVAC 1 computer. The first test was made in 1958 when CPM was applied to the construction of a new chemical plant. In March 1959, the method was applied to a maintenance shutdown at the DuPont works in Kentucky unproductive time was reduced from 125 to 93 hours. So see how much time you have saved by using this particular technique. Then you have the second is your PERT, that is Program Evaluation and Review Technique, was devised in 1958. They are more or less of the same period, but at two different places. Divided in 1958 for the polarized missile program by the Program Evaluation Branch of the Special Projects Office of the US Navy, head by the Lockheed Missile Systems Division and the consultant firm of Booz Allen and Hamilton. The calculation was so arranged so that they could be carried out on the IBM Naval Ordnance Research Computer at Dahlgren, Virginia. So you can, that was for UNIVAC 1 computer in which the calculations were solved. And this was for naval computer. Now, what is the objectives of these? First, a powerful coordinating tool for planning, scheduling, and controlling of projects. The minimization of total project cost and time. So you have seen from 125, the wastage was reduced from 125 to 93. So you can see how much both cost and time, because these days, see, there's so much of competition. Everybody wants quality goods at the minimum cost. And there's so much of competition that this has become unnecessary. Now it is not a supplier's market. It is the buyer's market. So whatever the buyers demand, that has to be fulfilled. And for these techniques, mathematical techniques are very useful. Minimization of total project cost and time. Effective utilization of resources and minimization of effective resources. So whatever resources you require, you'll require everything. You'll require man, you'll require money, you'll require machinery, material, all these things you will be requiring. So how to utilize this, that the wastage is minimized. Like in operations management, what we emphasize on effectiveness and efficiency, doing the right thing in the right way. So if it is effective, that means the wastage is minimized. So in minimization of effective, whatever resources are effective for the particular project is minimized. So wastage is also minimized. Minimization of delays and interruption during the implementation of the project. What are the functions of operations? These Pert and Cpm, which is a very essential tool for drawing the network of any project. They can answer the following questions. How long will the entire project take to be completed? What are the risks involved? Which are the critical activities or tasks in the project which could delay the entire project if they are not completed on time? Is the project on schedule, behind schedule, or ahead of schedule? Like when you are deciding the work breakdown structure, you decide every event will require so much of time. So when you're monitoring it, you'll see whether the project is on time or it is behind time or it is before time. So maybe if it is very much before time, then what will happen? Maybe the quality of the project will deteriorate. So because all these timings which have been given to different events are meant for that event to take place in the best possible way. If the project has to be finished earlier than planned, what is the best way to do this to at the least cost. So this is also known as project crashing. Like for example, suppose you had your birthday was on 10th January. So you had decided to open your shop on that particular day. But somehow or other, because of some reason, when you decided 1st January will be better. So you decide to, so naturally you had decided a project so that it will be finishing on 10th January. Now you have to change those timings so that it is completed on 1st January. So you have to reduce. So what all activities you want to crash? Crash means reduce the timing so that it is completed. So those activities are known as critical activities. So how do you determine the critical path, which is the longest path in a project? Let's suppose there are two friends. They decide to meet at, they have gone to some other city with their individual work. So they have their breakfast together, say at about 8 a.m. and then they do their individual works, and then they again decide to meet at dinner time at about 9 p.m. Now, okay, now after finishing their breakfast, A goes about his work and B goes about his. Say maybe he has gone to some office, he has some work, he has gone to some office. Then from there, after spending some time over there and getting his work done, he decides to buy something for his family. Then he might decide to meet someone, so maybe his old acquaintance or someone. And by, say, 8, he completes all his work. Eight, 8:30 something. He completes his work. But this fellow, B, he has also some work in some office. So he takes some time. From there, he has to go to some other office to get something else done. So what happens? By the time he completes his work, it is 9. and they have decided that they'll be meeting at 9 p.m. Now, what this fellow does is he has to wait for half an hour before the dinner they meet at dinner. So this is the longest path. This he takes from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. That means 13 hours. This person takes only 12 and a half hours. So this is known as the critical path or the longest path. This is the duration of the project. The project won't be complete until and unless they again have their dinner together. So, any questions? You are also quiet.
No, ma'am, nothing. Right now, I have one question, but I will ask you after some time.
Okay. So these activities, whatever B is doing, these are critical activities. Suppose, like crashing, as I said, if they want to know, they somehow or other they decide that they have to meet at 8:30. So who will crash so it is on the critical activities. These are known as critical activities, which is on the longest path. So these things matter a lot in your planning, scheduling, and controlling the project. So we'll do, this is a very simple project I'm talking about, just the basic. As you proceed, projects will become more complex. But one thing you should know is the longest path in the network diagram is the critical path. And it has no slack. Like he has half an hour slack. He can just roam about like a free bird, or whatever he feels like doing, he or she can do. But this person has to complete this person has to complete these two works within the time which has been allotted to him, or which he has decided, because if he takes more than that, this project will be delayed. So this is known as the critical path, and critical path is present both in your Pert as well as in CPM. Can you see we have done the functions. How long will the entire project take to be completed? That is the longest path you have to find out. And that is also the critical path. What are the risks involved? Once you are deciding what are the work events or activities, it is always known as activity. Then what are the risks involved in those activities? Which are the critical activities? The critical activities will be on the critical path. Is the project on schedule? Like you had decided, should be, your project will complete by 9 p.m. So whether both of them are reaching there by 9 p.m. or not, then only it is on schedule. It is behind schedule, maybe they are reaching after 9 p.m. or ahead of 9 p.m. So it will be either behind schedule or ahead of schedule. So once you have planned, you can monitor the project and then control. If somebody is taking more than that time, then you can do something so that it is rectified and it is completed within the planned time. Is the project has to be finished earlier? As I told you, crashing. That is also known as project crashing. Suppose if they had to finish it before 9 p.m., then who would have to crash their activity? It is B, because B's activities are on the critical path. Shiva, you were going to ask me something.
Ma'am, actually, I am saying that this example that you have taken, this is in both the cases, CPM and Pert is same, or some difference is there?
It is same. It is same. Only difference is Pert is probabilistic, that is statistical, and CPM is mathematical, deterministic. So I'll come to that later on. Okay.
Okay. No issue. Okay.
Otherwise, more or less, they are same. They were developed not in collaboration. One was developed in Europe,
UK.
another one was developed in US, but they
Yes,
are
ma'am.
similar in nature.
Okay, okay.
Essentially, there are 6 steps which are common to both the techniques. The procedure is listed below. So you have to define the project, define the
Ma'am,
project and all
we cannot
its
see
significant
the.
activities or tasks. The project made up of several tasks should have only a single start activity and a single finish activity. So when you're drawing the project also, you have to keep that into account. You should not make anything hanging in the air. And there should be at one point the project is starting and at another point it is ending. That you have to keep in mind when you're drawing the project network. Develop the relationship among the activities. That is, which one will come first, which will come second, which will be parallel. All these things you have to decide. Develop the relationship among the activities. Decide which activities must proceed and which must follow others. Because then only you can decide what will be the duration of the project. Because maybe, like for example, you cannot build the walls without laying the foundation. That is not possible. So that is the activity which will precede building the walls. Draw the network connecting all the activities. Each activity should have unique event numbers.
Ma'am, yes, we cannot see the slides.
Actually, you cannot see the slides. Okay, just 1 second. Now, can you see it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
The framework for Pert and Cpm. Both have certain things which are common to both. That is why you are taught Port Cpm together.
Yes.
Essentially, there are 6 steps which are common to both the techniques. The procedure is listed below. Define the project and all its significant activities or tasks. The project made up of several tasks should have only a single start activity and a single finish activity. Develop the relationship among the activities. Decide which activities must precede and which must follow others. Draw the network connecting all the activities. Each activity should have a unique event numbers so that you know either you number wise or alphabetically, everything should be unique. Dummy arrows are used where required to avoid giving the same numbering to 2 activities. There are 2 ways of drawing. In one, you use dummy, in another, you don't use. Dummy activities are just to make the picture clear, how things are moving. Otherwise, there will be lines crossing each other. Won't be, because why you are drawing the picture? It is for monitoring the project, for controlling the project. Whoever are involved in the project, they should know clearly how things are flowing. So sometimes we use dummy arrows, which means there is no time involved in that. It just shows the direction. Assign time and or cost estimate to each activity so that you have you know exactly how much time it will require or what will be the cost. You can assign both time as well as cost, or you can just assign time. Compute the longest time through the network. This is called the critical path, which I have already explained. Use the network to help plan, schedule, and monitor and control the project. So this is common to both. The key concept used by both CPM and Pert is that a small set of activities which make up the longest path through the activity network control the entire project. If these critical activities could be identified and assigned to responsible persons, management resources could be optimally used by concentrating on the few activities which determine the fate of the entire project. So in both, we concentrate on critical activities because this is determining the length of the project, wherever there is no slack in that, you have to complete within the allotted time, allotted cost. So you have to be very careful with these critical activities. Non-critical activities can be replanned, rescheduled, and resources for them can be reallocated flexibly without affecting the whole project. So in non-critical activities, you have this leeway where you can either relax or you can do something else. Suppose one person has, before the next activity, he has a slack of 4 days. So that person or that resource, that machinery, that resource can be anything, man, machine, money, or that can be used somewhere else without affecting the project. So what is a project? A project is an interrelated set of activities that has a definite starting and ending point, and that results in unique product. Project management, it is a scientific way of planning, implementing, monitoring, and controlling the various aspects of a project, such as time, money, material, manpower, and other resources. All the resources. You can plan, you can implement, you can monitor, and you can control so that you get the whatever you are looking for at a minimum cost and best quality. So there are two planning methods. One is your CPM, that is critical path method, and another is program evaluation and review technique. Managing a project with network planning methods involves 4 steps: describing the project, diagramming the network, estimating time of completion, monitoring project progress. In network diagram, the concepts are activity, what are the different activities which you have to do to complete the project. Precedent relationship is very important because when you are drawing the network, you have to know which is coming first, which is coming second, and so on. Successor, naturally precedence, then successor, and event. What event is in that activity, what event is done. Then you should know that before an activity can begin, its preceding activity should be completed. Like, for example, as I told you, in house construction, you cannot start making the wall without making the foundation and the waterproofing. Otherwise, if you don't do the waterproofing properly, you will have problems throughout the life of that particular construction. So there are certain things which have to be done before other things are done. So you have to be very clear about it. Arrows indicate a logical precedence, and then we make an arrow so that we know from where to where we are moving. Flow of the diagram is from left to right or top to bottom. Either you start from left and then you go to right, or from top to bottom. Both horizontally and vertically, it is upon your convenience. Arrows should not intersect. Dangling should be avoided. Nothing should be left dangling. So these things you have to, whether you're using Pert or whether you're using CPM, when you're drawing the network, these points you have to consider. Then there are two approaches to network diagram. One is activity on arc. You can say arc or arrow. It is A or OA. Activity on arc or activity in arrow, it is the same thing. Activities are represented by an arrow between two nodes. See, you have two nodes and this is the activity. So this is activity A. Is it clear? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This represents activity A. Then the second is, then in this you have dummy activities. Activity on arc approach sometimes requires, in addition, a dummy activity to clarify the precedence relationship between the two activities. It is a zero time activity and consumes no resource. It is just to make the picture clear. You are not actually doing something. So naturally no time is there and no resources are being used. In number of cases of operations research, you use dummy to solve the problem. Dummy activity is used in two situations. First is when two or more activities start and end at the same node. That is explained in diagram 1. When two or more activities share the same precedence, but not all precedence are shared. Some precedence they share, some they don't. Then you use dummy to make your picture clear. So this is your diagram 1. So you have see, you have activity A, activity B, activity C, activity D. Now both B and C are going to D. So if you draw the parallel line, what maybe the time required to do B is different for the time required to do C. Generally that is the case. So if you make it parallel, it will appear as they both require the same time. So that is why C is going to D through a dummy activity, which is denoted by a dashed arrow.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the basic things of any dummy activity. So this is one thing. There's both are precedent to D. So that is one. Either you could have made it like this from A to C, and B would have come through a dummy. Then you have, second is your diagram 2. Here again you can see, C and D both are precedent to F, but C is also precedent to E. To make this clear, C is coming through a dummy activity. So C is not a precedent to F. C is precedent to E and F, but D is not a precedent to E. D is only precedent to F.
Yes.
To make this point clear, a dummy activity is being used. Then the second is your activity on node. So on the node, Over there, you are using two nodes and one arrow in between to represent one activity. Here you are using one node. Activities are represented by nodes. Arrows indicate precedent relationship between them. So you start, like as you said, you start, then from this is one activity. Then from A, you are going to B. From B, you are going to C and D. From C and both C and D are precedent to E. You cannot do E until and unless you finish both C and D. This is a simple diagram. And here I'm finishing. So you have to show start as well as finish in this. You don't have to, here dummy is not there, but start and finish is there. Then you have to estimating time of completion. That is planning the schedule of the project. Time estimate include total time of completion, early start. When should the activity start earliest? The earliest start time at which the activity start, given its precedent activity, must be completed. Once it is completed, then only you can start. Then early finish time equals to the early start time for the activity plus the time required to complete the activity. Suppose you are starting on the third day and that activity requires 4 days. So third, 3 plus 4, 7 days, that will be its early finish. Then you have latest finish time. The latest finish time in which activities can be completed without delaying the project. And then you have latest start time, which is minus. Here it is, first you are going from first to the last, and here you are going from last to the first. So both forward pass as well as the backward pass is taken. The first two is done by forward pass and the last two is done by the backward pass. Equal to the latest finish time minus the time required to complete the, actually it is not project, it is activity. So first is the forward pass. The early start and early finish time are calculated by moving forward through the network and considering the predecessor activities. Backward pass is just the opposite. The latest start and finish times are calculated by moving backward through the network. And slack is the difference between either both the starts or both the finished. That is early start, late start, or early finish, late finish. And if your calculation is correct, they should be same. Look at this simple project. You have activity A, B, C, D. Immediate predecessor, A does not have a predecessor, B does not have a predecessor, A is the predecessor of C, A, B, both are predecessors of D. And the time taken to complete this, the first one takes, duration can be anything, whatever you have decided, whether it is weeks, whether it is month, whether it is years, whether it is say day or whatever that, but it should be same. You have to convert it into one time unit. So first activity requires 5 days, second 6 days, third requires 4 days, and second 2 days. So how do you draw this? First we'll be doing activity on arrow. So A is from 1 to 2. A is predecessor to both. Both A and B don't have any predecessor. So see, B and A do not have any predecessor. Nothing is before them. So they are starting from one point. So here you don't have to write start. You have to start from the activities which do not have predecessors. Then so this is your see, C, the predecessor is A, but for D, both A and B are predecessors. So that is why you use a dummy over there. Now next is your activity on node. So here you start, then A and B, both are the starting activities. From A, you go to C. And because A is a predecessor for both C and D, and B is a predecessor only for D. So now here, you cannot leave it hanging like this. You cannot leave it hanging like this. So you have to join these two together and write it is the finish. Now it is complete. So over here, you don't need start and finish, but you have to start from one activity and end at one activity. Or whatever is, you cannot leave anything. Suppose it finishes over here, then you have to join these two by a dummy activity. Here it is not that, but suppose that is the case. Generally, we use this notation, activity, suppose A, B, C, D, whatever you have, notations you have given, time, how much time it takes to complete that activity. Early start, early finish. What is the at time it should start, and at what time it should finish, and late finish, late start. This is forward pass, and this is backward pass. And the difference between both the starts or both the finish, it should be same, and it is also known as slack. This is slack. Early start, early finish, late start, late finish, slack, which is the difference between either both the starts or both the finish. So this is the same diagram which I had made. See, here I have used activity on node. Start, it starts both A and B. Activity is written over there. The time it requires to complete that activity is there. B, another, the activity name is written there. Then early start, early finish, early, late start, late finish. See, first activity starts on 0 days because they are the starting. So early start is 0 for both A and B. But early finish of A will be 0 plus 5. 5 for B, it will be 0 plus 6. So it will be 6. That is what is shown in this. This diagram. See, A is 5, B is 6. The time. It starts, both starts 0, 0. Is it clear? But it finishes on 5 days. So 5, over here it's 6. So now we are going forward from start to finish. then when we'll find the latest finish and latest start, it will be backward. So from here, now this will start only when A will finish. So it will start on 5th after this has finished. So here the activity time is 4. It is starting on 5th and it takes 4 days. So it is finishing on 9th. Okay. Then this will also start when this is finished. You have to take the maximum because these both have to finish. This is finishing on 6 days and this is finishing on 5th. So you have to take the maximum because this will start only when both the finish. Even if it has finished, it has to wait because this has to be finished before D is finished, starts. So this will be 6. The maximum of, if there are more than one precedence, then it will be the maximum you have to take. So, and it takes 2 days to finish, so it will become 6 plus 2, 8. Okay. So this is your forward pass. The slack will come only when you have calculated the late finish, late start. So once you have come to the finish point, now let us go back. So the total time it takes to finish the project is 9 days. So in both the cases, in this as well as this, the latest is 9. Because if you delay it by more than 9, the length of the project will increase. So both will finish by 9, both should finish. So that is the latest. Because if you make it more than 9, then the whole length of the project will increase. So both it is 9, 9. Okay, then you minus 2 from here, it becomes 7. You minus 4 from here, it becomes 5. So both are, here it is 5, here it is 7. So when you are going backward fast, you take the minimum. So here it is 5. So it is 5 over here. 5 minus 5, 0. Here, so this is not affecting B. Only D is affecting this. So it will be 7 minus 6, 1. Okay. Then you take the difference between either the start or either the finish. It will be what? 9 minus 9, 0. 5 minus 5, 0. Here again 5 minus 5, 0. 0 minus 0. So it is here. It is 9 minus 8, 1. 7 minus 6, 1. Here again 7 minus 6, 1. 1 minus. So this is known as the slack. That means these activities not together. Either in this you can delay the activity by 1 day and the project length will not be affected. Similarly, over here also, or this or that, 1 day you have the liberty to delay that work, particular work. Is it clear? Shivam? Subir? If you are not listening to what I am telling you, so what's the point of attending the class?
हाँ क्लियर मैम.
हाँ तो बोलो तो मुझे कैसे पता चलेगा? इंफॉर्मेशन फ्लो करना चाहिए ना.
हाँ हाँ हाँ. यस मैम.
तो ये हो गया ना, समझ में आ गया ना कैसे कैलकुलेट करना है? अर्ली स्टार्ट अर्ली फिनिश, लेट स्टार्ट लेट फिनिश.
हाँ, लेट स्टार्ट लेट फिनिश.
तो ये एक प्रोजेक्ट है जो ज्यादा बड़ा है. देख रहे हो इसमें कितने एक्टिविटीज है? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 है. 9 एक्टिविटीज हो गए. और ये इसका इमीडिएट प्रेडिसेसर दिया हुआ है. ऐसे अभी तो आपको दिया हुआ, मगर एक्चुअल में जब आप कोई प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे होंगे तो आपको एस्टिमेट करना पड़ेगा कि इस काम को करने में कितना समय लगेगा. पहले तो उसको वर्क ब्रेक डाउन करना पड़ेगा, कौन कौन से एक्टिविटीज होंगे, कौन से पहले होंगे, कौन से बाद में होंगे, किसमें कितना समय लगेगा. तो प्रैक्टिकली जब आप कर रहे हैं तो इट बिकम्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट. इट इज नॉट ऑल दैट इजी. बट देन दैट प्लानिंग हैज टू बी डन मेटिकुलसली, नहीं तो फिर पूरा प्रोजेक्ट ही गड़बड़ हो जाएगा।
Yes.
ये आपको प्रोजेक्ट दिया हुआ है, उसको जब मैंने ड्रॉ किया तो ऐसा आया, क्योंकि यहां पर हम ए से 2 गया, 3 गए, बी, डी और सी, मगर हम ऐसे भी लिख सकते थे बी, सी और डी, बट उससे फिर वो इंटरसेक्शन होने लगता, इसलिए हमने इसको बी, डी और सी के, क्योंकि बी के फिर डी के फिर बहुत सारे सक्सेसर्स हैं और सी के अलग है। उसको क्लियर बनाने के लिए मुझे इस तरह से इसको डी को यहां लिखना पड़ा, सी को यहां लिखना पड़ा। जैसे ये देखिए, ये है ना, ए के तो कोई प्रेडिसेसर नहीं है, बी के, सी के, डी के, तीनों के ए हैं, है ना, ए के कोई प्रेडिसेसर नहीं है, बी के, डी के और सी के दोनों के, तीनों के ए हैं। अब ई के डी है, डी का प्रेडिसेसर, इमीडिएट प्रेडिसेसर ई का कौन है? डी है,
डी है।
तो ई का कौन है? डी है।
यस।
फिर बी, सी और ई ये सारे इमीडिएट प्रेडिसेसर हैं एफ के, तो है ना, एफ यहां है और ये तीनों ये थ्रू डमी आया। यदि हम इसको सी को ऊपर ले गए होते तो ये बनाना मुश्किल हो जाता, इसलिए सी को नीचे रखा है, डी को ऊपर रखा है, तो ये दोनों ही थ्रू डमी ही आएंगे, क्योंकि आप यहां से ये करेंगे तो या तो ये कर्व लाइन होगा, दैट वी डोंट नो, और या फिर इसको ड्रॉ करना यदि पैरेलल भी बनाएंगे तो बन नहीं सकता है ना, इसलिए इट इज थ्रू डमी दीज टू। एफ इज द, बिकॉज ये तीनों ही E, B एंड C तीनों ही F के प्रेडिसेसर हैं, है ना, B, C और E। फिर G का F है, G का F है, और फिर D, H का भी F है, F दोनों का है, G का भी H है, जिसमें मैंने F से 2 गए, F से 2 गए, फिर I का G है। अब उसको दोनों को रिफर करते रहना होगा, जो आपको डेटा दिया हुआ है, अब प्लस जब आप ड्रॉ कर रहे हैं तो दोनों हैं, मगर H को आप ऐसे छोड़ नहीं सकते हैं। हमने कहा था ना पहले भी कि नथिंग शुड बी लेफ्ट डैंगलिंग, तो आप F को छोड़ नहीं सकते हैं, तो इसीलिए इसको फिर आप लास्ट वाले से मिला देते हैं एक डमी से।
ये डमी से
वो जा नहीं रहा है, वो कुछ हो नहीं रहा है, मगर एक टू गिव अ क्लैरिटी टू द टोटल नेटवर्क यू आर यूजिंग दिस डमी। इज दिस क्लियर?
क्लियर।
अब इसी तरह आप इससे फिर अर्ली स्टार्ट, अर्ली फिनिश, लेट स्टार्ट, लेट फिनिश कैलकुलेट करेंगे। जैसे पहला वाला है, या तो जैसे हमने पिछली बार बताया वैसे लिखिए, चाहे एक टेबल बना लीजिए, उसको देखते रहिए कि ये तो 0 दिन में स्टार्ट हुआ, कितना टाइम लगा, ये तीनों स्टार्ट होगा जब ए खत्म होगा, तो ए का अर्ली फिनिश क्या है, तो इसका वो हो जाएगा, अर्ली स्टार्ट हो जाएगा। फिर इसको करने में कितना समय लगेगा, इसको करने में कितना समय लगेगा, इसको कर, इस तरह से आप ये डायग्राम बना लिया। तो पहले लेट, अर्ली स्टार्ट, अर्ली फिनिश निकाला। अब अर्ली फिनिश का जो सबसे ज्यादा है 37 है, 37 डेज लगा आपको करने, तो 37 के बियॉन्ड तो आप नहीं जा सकते हैं, इसीलिए जो लास्ट वाला है उसको हमने 37 लिया। लास्ट क्या है? लास्ट आई है ना, आई है, आई का 37 किया, और जो उसका ड्यूरेशन है वो घटाते गए। इसमें भी जहां 2 रहेंगे, जैसे इसमें 2 है तो इसमें जो मिनिमम होगा। जैसे इधर से है तो मैक्सिमम लेते हैं और इधर से है तो मिनिमम लेते हैं। जब फॉरवर्ड पास करते हैं तो मैक्सिमम लेते हैं, जब बैकवर्ड पास करते हैं तो मिनिमम लेते हैं,
लेस करते हैं।
लेस करते हैं। नहीं, दो है ना, तो दोनों का अलग अलग आएगा ना।
हाँ हाँ,
तो उसमें जो मिनिमम होगा वो लेंगे।
यस मैम।
और यदि 2 आ रहा है इसमें, जैसे यहाँ पर है 3 है ना, तो इसमें जो मैक्सिमम होगा वो लेंगे। जब फॉरवर्ड पास कर रहे हैं, एफ स्टार्ट होगा जब बी खत्म होगा, ई खत्म होगा और सी खत्म होगा, तो जिसमें मैक्सिमम खत्म होगा वो लेंगे। और इधर से जब आ रहे हैं तो जो मिनिमम होगा वो लेंगे। इज इट क्लियर?
क्लियर मैम।
तो इस तरह से हमने ये डायग्राम बना लिया, फिर इसका डिफरेंस ले लिए, आइदर अर्ली स्टार्ट लेट स्टार्ट में या अर्ली फिनिश लेट फिनिश। तो ये आया स्लैक। तो देखिए जहां जहां 0 स्लैक है वो क्या है? क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटी है। क्या है? क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटी। तो अब हमने आइडेंटिफाई कर लिया क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटी कौन सा हुआ? ए, डी, ई, एफ, जी, आई। इसी को हमने इसमें बाय रेड लाइन दिखा दिया है। ए, डी, ई, एफ, जी, आई। ये क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटीज हो गया। तो हमें जो पाथ हमने, जो इसका ड्यूरेशन है ए, डी, ई, एफ, जी, आई, ये हमारा ड्यूरेशन ऑफ द प्रोजेक्ट हुआ। दिस इज द लॉन्गेस्ट पाथ।
मैम, now why we are not taken GH from 7, 9 and 10 dummy line, dummy network?
कहाँ पर हमें समझ में नहीं
मैम लास्ट में हम जो अपना H था, H को अपन मिला के डायरेक्टली अपन डमी करके 10 में ले गए।
हाँ, ऐसे भी कर सकते थे, ऐसे भी कर सकते थे। तो इसको H को सीधे यहाँ ले जाते, पर ये इसका इमीडिएट प्रेडिसेसर नहीं है।
ओके,
ये उसका इमीडिएट प्रेडिसेसर नहीं, ये तो बस हमें ये हैंगिंग नहीं छोड़ना इसलिए लगा दिए हैं।
ओके मैम, ओके ओके,
ठीक है,
ठीक है मैम, ठीक है।
ये मिल गया। अब क्या रिजल्ट आपको दिखा रहा है? तो हमने देखा कि क्रिटिकल पाथ इज वेयर स्लैक इज 0। इन द प्रॉब्लम क्रिटिकल पाथ इज ए, डी, ई, एफ, जी, आई। ठीक है, और उसको कैलकुलेट कर लिया, एक एक का क्या क्या है उसको ऐड कर दिया तो 37 वीक्स आया। और ऐसे भी लेटेस्ट फिनिश हमारा 37 आया था ना। यहाँ से देखिए, ये देखिए है ना 37।
यस मैम,
यही है। इससे ज्यादा होगा तो फिर डिले हो जाएगा प्रोजेक्ट। तो दिस इज डिटर्मिनिस्टिक इन नेचर। हमने ये कर लिया कि 37 वीक्स में हमें जिस तरह का हमने प्लानिंग किया है, जितने जितने समय में हमको हर एक एक्टिविटी करना है, तो उस हिसाब से मुझे 37 वीक्स लगेंगे इस प्रोजेक्ट को खत्म करने में। ठीक है, अब हमें यदि क्रैश करना है तो हमें इन एक्टिविटीज को क्रैश करना पड़ेगा जिसमें मिनिमम कॉस्ट लगेगा। मान लीजिए ये सारे एक्टिविटीज क्रिटिकल हैं। अब इसको क्रैश करने में एक दिन का हमें से 1000 रुपया लग रहा है, इसको क्रैश करने में 2000 लग रहा है, इसको 500 लग रहा है, इसको 300 लग रहा है, इसको 200 लग रहा है, इसको 100 लग रहा है। तो हम इसी को क्रैश करेंगे, फायदा तो उतना ही होगा ना, टाइम ड्यूरेशन तो एक है। तो हम लोग क्रैशिंग का फिर करेंगे तब आपको और क्लियर हो जाएगा। तो दैट इज नोन एज क्रैशिंग। अब वो तो था सीपीएम, क्रिटिकल पाथ मेथड। अब पर्ट में यही डिफरेंस है कि एवरी एक्टिविटी इज गिवन 3 टाइम्स। हर एक एक्टिविटी है ना, ये एक प्रोजेक्ट है। अब जो टाइम ड्यूरेशन है वो एक नहीं है, सीपीएम में एक था, क्योंकि ये बना था डुपॉन्ट एंड रेमिंगटन फॉर कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्क। तो दे न्यू ये काम है, जो भी उस काम में फील्ड में एक्सपर्ट है, दे नो कि हाँ एग्जैक्टली एक दीवार बनाने में या फाउंडेशन ये डायमेंशन है तो फाउंडेशन बनाने में कितना टाइम लगेगा, तो दे न्यू, तो दे वर श्योर, तो एक एक टाइम ही दिए. मगर दिस वाज अ रिसर्च वर्क, दे वर मेकिंग polarized missile for the first time, so they had given 3 different times to each event or each activity, you can say. तो एक्टिविटी, तो यहाँ 3 तरह का टाइमिंग दिए. एक तो TO, दैट इज द मोस्ट ऑप्टिमिस्ट टाइम. ऑप्टिमिस्टिक इसलिए क्योंकि यदि सब कुछ आपका ठीक से चलता रहा, कुछ डिले नहीं हुआ, तो इतने दिनों में ये बन जाएगा, वीक में जो भी टाइम आप ले रहे हैं. और TM मोस्ट प्रोबेबल टाइम, माने कुछ अच्छा हुआ, कुछ ऑन द एवरेज कितना लगेगा उस काम को कंप्लीट करने में. और तीसरा था TP, द पेसिमिस्टिक टाइम, कि यदि सब कुछ प्रॉब्लम आता गया तो मैक्सिमम कितना लगेगा. और इन तीनों का हमें एवरेज निकालना है, अरिथमेटिक एवरेज. इसमें वेटेज हम TO को 1 देते हैं, M को 4 देते हैं और इसका 1 देते हैं. और क्योंकि नेचुरली सब कुछ खराब हो जाएगा, ये भी थोड़ा प्रोबेबिलिटी कम है, सब कुछ अच्छा होगा, ये भी प्रोबेबिलिटी कम है, बट हाँ एक सामान्य रहेगा, उसकी प्रोबेबिलिटी सबसे ज्यादा है. तो वी टेक अ अरिथमेटिक एवरेज ऑफ दिस, दैट इज 1 TO plus 4 TM plus 1 TP, whole thing divided by 6. I know you must be knowing how to calculate arithmetic mean. So this is your diagram, data for PERT. So that is the main difference. PERT और CPM में है कि CPM जो है सो डिटर्मिनिस्टिक इन नेचर है और PERT जो है सो प्रोबेबिलिस्टिक इन नेचर है. वो जो भी टाइम हम निकालेंगे, अब इससे हम एक्सपेक्टेड टाइम निकालेंगे, एक्सपेक्टेड टाइम टू कंप्लीट द एक्टिविटी. यहाँ 2 तरह के फॉर्मूले यूज होते हैं. एक तो एक्सपेक्टेड टाइम और दूसरा वेरिएंस. क्योंकि वेरिएबिलिटी है ना, वहां तो एकदम एक था तो वेरिएबिलिटी नहीं थी, यहाँ वेरिएबिलिटी है, ज्यादा भी हो सकता है, कम भी हो सकता है, एवरेज भी रह सकता है. तो एक्सपेक्टेड टाइम इज TO plus 4 TM plus TP, whole thing divided by 6, and variance is the difference between the pessimistic minus optimistic divided by 6 whole square. So these 2 formula we are going to use. तो यहाँ हमने निकाल लिया है, यहाँ निकाल लिया है, सॉरी, ये इसका एक्सपेक्टेड टाइम है. वो फॉर्मूला लगा के TO plus 4 TM plus TP divided by 6 ये निकाल लिया है. तो सबका सब एक्टिविटी का एक्सपेक्टेड टाइम आ गया. ठीक है, अब वेरिएंस भी निकाल लिया है सबका. अभी मुझे ये नहीं पता है कि इसमें क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटीज कौन है या क्रिटिकल पाथ कौन है, मगर दिस इज अ स्मॉल, वेरी स्मॉल नेटवर्क हमने ड्रॉ किया तो देखा कि ये इस तरह का नेटवर्क आ रहा है. ये हमने एक्टिविटी ऑन नोड, एक्टिविटी ऑन नोड यूज किया है. ये हो गया. तो हमने देखा कि 2 ही पाथ बन रहे हैं. एक है ABEFG. See over here, you are starting from 1 and then you are finishing over here. इसको बीच में नहीं छोड़ दिया है, D को बीच में नहीं छोड़ दिया है. D is not a, मगर इसको तो कंप्लीट हो जाना है ना फिनिश के पहले, इसीलिए इसको हमने ये एरो से उसको ज्वाइन कर दिया है. ये है. अब देयर आर ओनली 2 पाथ्स, ABEFG फिनिश और ACD फिनिश. तो इंस्टेड ऑफ फाइंडिंग अर्ली finish, early start, I have just taken the length of these 2 paths. तो रिजल्ट में यह the network has 2 paths. एक तो ये है A, B, E, F, G, which is coming to 60 days. Another is A, C, D, E, F, G, which is coming to 64 days. So naturally longer is 64 days. तो critical path क्या हुआ? बताइए. Hello. Just tell me. How many days?
64.
64. So this is, see, now this is a probabilistic model. Deterministic नहीं है कि 64 days में खत्म ही हो जाएगा. ये एक probabilistic model है, and scientists have found out, mathematicians, statisticians, it follows a normal distribution. Are you familiar with normal distribution?
Yes, ma'am.
तो
Yes.
normal distribution क्या होता है? It is a symmetric curve. बीचों बीच उसका क्या रहता है? Mean, medium, mode सब equal होते हैं.
Yes.
50% of the area lies before mean and 50% areas lies after mean. तो ये follows, तो वो क्या है? Only 50%. तो ये एक mean है. 64 days जो है mean है. एक average time है 64 days. But there is only 50% chances. क्योंकि बीच में है 50% chances are that will be completed in 64 days. Hence, the probability that the project will be completed in 64 days is 50%. Is it clear? So that is the basic difference. दोनों में आपको critical path निकालना है, दोनों में network draw करना है, मगर यही है कि वो जो है सो deterministic है. हमने 37 days कहा तो 37 days है 100%. यहाँ पर it is only 50%. Now, suppose somebody asks you, what is the probability that the project will be completed in 70 days? What is the probability that the project will be completed in 58 days? To answer these questions, one has to use this formula. ये formula क्या है? ये normal distribution से आता है, where x is कोई भी value है. कोई भी वैल्यू कर्व पर हो सकता है. म्यू इज द मीन एंड द सिग्मा इज स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन. आई होप यू नो दिस, कि हम अभी समझाएं इसको. इस तरह का कर्व होता है, सिमेट्रिक है, and it does not touch the x-axis. ये touches it as plus infinity,
Minus infinity.
and over here minus infinity. यहाँ पर जाके here this is
Mean.
mu, which is the
Mean.
mean. 50% this side, and 50% this side. सिमेट्रिक है. इसके एक के ऊपर इस लाइन पर मोड़ोगे तो एक दूसरे पर ओवरलैप करेगा. तो ये जो क्या होता है ना, नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन तो कुछ भी होगा, उसको हम लोग मैप करते हैं एक स्टैंडर्ड नॉर्मल पर, जिसका टेबल मिलता है. तो इस फॉर्मूला से x is mapped into Z.
Sigma.
Is it clear? Where X is any value of your previous. या इसमें कर लेंगे, इसको हमने मैप किया Z में. Z में क्या होता है ना कि मीन इज 0 एंड स्टैंडर्ड डिविएशन इज 1, और उसका कितना प्रोबेबिलिटी वो कवर करेगा, दैट इज गिवन इन योर स्टैंडर्ड नॉर्मल टेबल. तो उससे निकालना आसान हो जाता है. Wait. So this is the formula which you use. तो एक पूछ रहा है 70 days, दूसरा पूछ रहा है 58 days. तो x की वैल्यू या तो 70 है या 58 है. mu you know is 64. Sigma we have to calculate. इसके लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा, जितने क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटीज हैं उनके वेरिएंस को ऐड करना पड़ेगा. तो उसके वेरिएंस हमने देखा, हमने कैलकुलेट किया था, तो वेरिएंस आया वो जितने एक्टिविटीज के 5.44 प्लस ये सो मच. तो स्क्वायर, इसका स्क्वायर रूट, क्योंकि वेरिएंस का स्क्वायर रूट क्या है, सिग्मा. सिग्मा का स्क्वायर क्या है, वेरिएंस. तो ये इसका स्क्वायर रूट आ गया. तो दिस इज द वैल्यू ऑफ स्टैंडर्ड डिविएशन. तो हियर 2 पॉइंट्स हैं, Z1 और Z2. तो पहला Z1 निकाले तो 70 माइनस 64. Just 1 second. 1 second, excuse me. Okay, so there are two values, 70. So you have to find out from Z. So Z1, 70 minus 64 divided by 3.65. That is what we had calculated, the sigma. तो यहां से Z की वैल्यू आ रही है 1.64. तो इससे कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग हमें प्रोबेबिलिटी देखनी होगी. वो हमें स्टैंडर्ड नॉर्मल टेबल से मिलेगा. ये टेबल है ना, तो हमने Z की वैल्यू, ये Z की वैल्यू है, ये ओनली ये जो यहां से इधर तक की वैल्यू दे रही है. तो दैट इज 1.64. कहाँ हुआ, ये 1.6 है और 4 भी है हमारा. तो वी कम टू, it is 0.4495. Is it clear? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So it is 1.4495 आया. तो ये हमने P की वैल्यू डाली. That means कि probability from mean is 44.95. But हमें तो लेना है extreme से, that is 50 is up till. तो इसीलिए हमने 0.5 उसमें जाना. 50 I have to add it, तो it is coming to 94.95 और 0.9495 उसको परसेंटेज में कन्वर्ट किया तो 94.95. तो the probability that the project will be completed in 70 days is 94.95. तो naturally आप वो तो 50% ही है. You want to, so it is better to complete the project in 70 days. तो ज्यादा probability हो जाएगा complete करने का. तो you can क्रिटिकल पाथ को आप ज्यादा टाइम दीजिए. इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन द, इफ दे हैव टू अपना वही क्रिटिकल पाथ रखेंगे तो देयर इज द चांसेस आर लेस. टू इंक्रीज द चांसेस यू हैव टू, एंड देन 58 का हमने कैलकुलेट किया तो उसी तरह से, क्योंकि आई हैव टेकन प्लस माइनस. देखिए यहाँ माइनस आया, माइनस से ये नहीं है कि ये नेगेटिव है, इट इज ओनली द डायरेक्शन. यहाँ डायरेक्शन क्या है, ये पॉजिटिव है. यही डायरेक्शन इधर रहता तो ये नेगेटिव हो जाता. तो माइनस है तो माइनस, तो वैल्यू तो पी की वही आएगी ना, पी की उतनी ही वैल्यू आएगी क्योंकि सिमेट्रिक है. जितना इधर है उतना ही इधर है. तो यदि ये वैल्यू है तो यहां से उतनी ही वैल्यू आएगी, मगर केवल नोटेशन में हम नेगेटिव लिखते हैं. तो यहाँ भी वो माइनस आया तो वैल्यू तो वही आई 1.64, विच इज corresponding probability is 40.4495. Now here you'll have to minus this from 0.5 because 0.5 क्या है, from one end to middle. तो टोटल तो 0.5 है और वो जितनी प्रोबेबिलिटी आ रही है उसको उससे माइनस करेंगे. जस्ट 1 सेकेंड. जैसे हमने ये किया, ये x है, x इज इक्वल टू 70. यहां पर हमने किया x इज इक्वल टू 58. तो ये प्रोबेबिलिटी है ये प्रोबेबिलिटी है 0.4495. और ये भी प्रोबेबिलिटी एक्चुअली उतना ड्राइंग ठीक से नहीं, ये भी वही उतना ही लिया है हमने.
मैडम स्क्रीन नहीं आ रहा है.
स्क्रीन नहीं आ रहा है. अच्छा 1 सेकेंड, हमने शेयर तो किया है. आया?
हाँ आया.
हाँ तो देखिए,
हाँ आया, थैंक यू.
देखे ना, ये जो हमने
हाँ.
0.4495 है तो ये तो यहाँ से पूरा यहाँ से यहाँ तक का है. ये तो हमें ग्राफ से बस इतना मिला तो इसलिए यहाँ उसको 0.5 हमने ऐड किया. समझे?
हाँ.
अब दूसरा क्या है, आपको निकालना तो यहाँ से यहाँ तक का है 58 का. तो आप क्या करेंगे, 0.5 से इसको सब्ट्रैक्ट कर देंगे. 0.5 यहाँ तक का है, हाफ 50% लिखा है ना हमने, तो 0.5
हाँ
हुआ.
हाँ यही तो है.
हाँ, तो इसको 0.5 से आप सब्ट्रैक्ट कर देंगे. क्लियर हुआ?
हाँ क्लियर.
ये आ रहा है, स्क्रीन पर दिख रहा है?
हाँ दिख रहा है.
हाँ ठीक है ना. यहाँ
हाँ, ठीक है.
0.4495 तो दोनों में हुआ, बट यहाँ हमने ऐड किया 0.5, यहाँ 0.5
हाँ.
से उसको सब्ट्रैक्ट किया तो हमारा आया कितना, 0.0905, which is 9.05.
9.05.
काफी कम हो गया. Probability of completing that project has become very small. It depend करता है ना कि क्या उसकी standard deviation है.
Yes.
तो स्टैंडर्ड डिविएशन ज्यादा रहेगा तो नेचुरली बहुत ज्यादा वेरिएबिलिटी होगी. Is this clear?
Clear, ma'am.
So can you, any one of you, tell me the basic difference between Pert and Cpm? शिवम?
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, क्या डिफरेंस है Pert और Cpm में?
मैम CPM में एक
हम प्रोबेबिलिस्टिक नहीं, हम डिटर्मिनिस्टिक मॉडल है. उसमें जो हमने कैलकुलेट कर दिया बस वो 100% है कि इतने दिनों में वो कंप्लीट होगा प्रोजेक्ट. और पर्ट में है कि इट इज डिटर्मिनिस्टिक नहीं है, वो प्रोबेबिलिस्टिक है.
and it is
ओनली 50% चांसेस आर देयर. वो मीन है. इट फॉलोज अ नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन. ये क्लियर हुआ? और ये टेबल हम लोग यूज करते हैं टू फाइंड आउट द प्रोबेबिलिटी. z की वैल्यू तो निकल गई. z इज इक्वल टू x माइनस म्यू डिवाइडेड बाय सिग्मा. और सिग्मा निकालने के लिए हम जितने क्रिटिकल पाथ के वेरिएंस हैं उसको ऐड करते हैं. ऐड करके उसका स्क्वायर रूट निकालते हैं, क्योंकि स्टैंडर्ड डिविएशन इज नथिंग बट द स्क्वायर रूट ऑफ वेरिएंस. ये स्टैटिस्टिक्स का टर्म है. आप लोग पता नहीं स्कूल में ही पढ़ाया जाता है, याद है कि नहीं याद है. But this is the way these two techniques are used. ये देखिए ना, नॉर्मल कर्व है. दिस इज, वो हमने जो ड्रॉ किया था थोड़ा हाथ से ड्रॉ किया था तो उतना सिमेट्रिक नहीं था. ये इट इज सिमेट्रिक. यहां से इसका सिमेट्री है. ठीक है. Now, what are the advantages of Pert and Cpm? Compels managers to plan their projects critically and analyze all factors affecting the progress of the plan. The process of the network analysis requires that the project planning be conducted on considerable detail from start to the finish. तो देख रहे बड़े minutely आपको पूरा डिजाइन करना पड़ेगा शुरू से ही. आपको पहले क्या क्या एक्टिविटीज होंगे, हर एक एक्टिविटीज के कितने क्या समय लगेगा, और फिर उसको उसका नेटवर्क ड्रॉ करना पड़ेगा. तो दिस रिक्वायर्स, बिकॉज एक बार ये गलत हो गया तो आपका सारा प्रेडिक्शन, आपका सारा मॉनिटरिंग सब गलत हो जाएगा. Provides the management a tool for forecasting the impact of schedule changes and be prepared to correct such situations. तो इससे आपको पता चलेगा कि हाँ, एक काम के लिए हमने 3 दिन दिया था और 4 दिन लग रहा है, तो क्यों लग रहा है? नहीं तो फिर तो मेरा पूरा प्रोजेक्ट गड़बड़ हो जाएगा. तो यू कैन मॉनिटर इट एंड यू कैन कंट्रोल इट. सो वहीं पर कंट्रोल कीजिए, क्योंकि उसको फिर इफ यू कैरी इट ऑन टू अनदर एक्टिविटी देन this delay will be further magnified. The likely trouble spots are located early enough so as to apply some preventive measures or corrective actions. Lot of data can be represented in a highly ordered fashion. The task relationships are graphically represented for easier evaluation, and individuals in different locations can easily determine their role in the total task requirements. तो graphically करने से कि किसको क्या करना है, कैसे करना है, ये भी बड़े क्लियर हो जाती है. Results in improved communities. The network provides a common ground for various parties such as designers, contractors, project managers, जो भी उससे involved है. And they must all understand each other's role and contribution. देखेंगे कि किसकी वजह से डिले हो गया. तो इट विल बी वेरी क्लियर कि हाँ इस एक्टिविटी में हुआ, तो इसमें कौन कौन इन्वॉल्व थे, डिजाइनर इन्वॉल्व थे कि कंट्रैक्टर इन्वॉल्व थे कि प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजर की वजह से हुआ. तो दिस विल बिकम अंडरस्टैंडिंग द होल प्रोजेक्ट बिकम इजियर एंड anyone who is associated with the project will understand it, what is the flow of the plan. Highlights areas that require attention of higher priority. As I said, critical activities identify ho jate hain. When you are, you know where to focus so that concentration can be applied to the key jobs without ignoring the lower priority tasks. This gives the management an opportunity to shift attention to any critical task so that the entire project is completed in time. तो मान लीजिए नॉन क्रिटिकल में आपको कहीं स्लैक है, तो यू कैन एम्प्लॉय दैट एक्स्ट्रा थिंग सो दैट द क्रिटिकल टास्क आर डन, are finished within the time allotted to them. The PERT time, that is the expected time, is based upon three-way estimate and hence is the most objective time in the light of uncertainties and results in greater degree of accuracy in time forecasting. इसीलिए हम लोग तीन, क्योंकि जो जहां uncertainty है, we use PERT and we use 3 different timings so that we can estimate the exact, the most objective time for the different activities. What are the disadvantages of Port CPM? Certainly about the estimate of time and resources, these must be assumed that the result can only be good as the assumption. At the beginning only I said कि आपकी planning, आपकी assumption यदि गलत है, ये जो 3 टाइम एस्टिमेट आपने निकाला, यदि इस पे आपने स्टडी नहीं किया है, ठीक से ये इवेल्युएट नहीं किया है, तो naturally your result will be affected. The cost may be higher than the conventional methods of planning and control because of the nature of networking and network analysis. It needs a high degree of planning skill and greater amount of details which would increase the cost in time and manpower resources. So naturally, भाई इतना meticulously आप काम करना है, तो it will be a bit costlier, but then it will be a more accurate way of doing the project. Most reliable, more accurate, the quality of the project will be enhanced. It is not suitable for relatively simple and repetitive processes such as assembly line work, which are fixed sequence job. Assembly line में क्या होता है, वो तो fixed है, वो move करता जा रहा है chassis, और उसमें चीजें उसमें लग रहे हैं. Not very effective in manufacturing operations since it deals in the time domain only and does not deal with the quality information which is necessary in manufacturing process. So here we are more concerned about time and cost. Quality का information उतना ज़्यादा नहीं है, but you can always add quality to it. What is the difference between Pert and CPM? I have already discussed, but let's एक बार sum up कर लेते हैं. Pert is involved as a research and development project. CPM evolved as a construction project. A deterministic model is used in CPM. Conversely, Pert uses a probabilistic model. There are 3 time estimates in Pert, that is optimistic time, most likely time, pessimistic time. On the other hand, there is only one estimate in CPM. Pert technique is best suited for a high precision time estimate, whereas CPM is appropriate for a reasonable time estimate. Pert deals with the unpredictable activities, but CPM deals with predictable activities. Pert is involved as a research and development project. CPM evolved as a construction project. If you compare these two, क्या meaning है? What is it? A technique of planning and control, a method to control cost and time. Meaning is, Subir, you just read out. Subir Nandi, can you see the PPT?
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ तो पढ़ा, comparison में पहला पढ़ो meaning.
Meaning है part is a project management technique used to manage uncertain activities of a project, or CPM is statistical technique of project management that manage well-defined activities of a project.
Is it clear?
Clear.
मेघना तुम पढ़ो, what is it? मेघना, next point. Okay, शिवम.
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, तुम पढ़ो. दो.
What is a technique of planning and control of time in Pert? And CPM, a method to control cost and time.
Orientation. पढ़ो.
Orientation in Pert, event oriented is there, and in CPM, activity oriented.
Event, वो एक्टिविटी में क्या इवेंट हो रहा है? एक्टिविटी 1, 2, 3 है, उसमें क्या इवेंट हो रहा है? स्वपन. स्वपन.
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, तुम पढ़ो. Evolution.
Evaluation. In Perth, evolve and research and development project.
हाँ,
And
जैसे हमने बताया ना,
CPM
पोलराइज्ड मिसाइल.
And in CPM, in evolve edge construction project.
आगे पढ़ो.
Estimate. Part 3 time estimate. In CPM 1 time estimate.
Next.
Appropriate for part high precision time estimate, and CPM reasonable time estimate.
Now you have to be more precise. ज्यादातर research development वाले work में you have to be more precise. Then you use PERT. Now Shashikant.
He is not there.
He's not there, but I had admitted him.
Yes.
अच्छा, शिवम. चलो, अब जल्दी खत्म ही होने वाला है. नेचर ऑफ जॉब्स क्या है? पर्ट में नॉन रेपिटेटिव नेचर और सीपीएम में है रेपिटेटिव नेचर. क्रिटिकल एंड नॉन क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटीज, नो डिफरेंशिएशन. इसमें ज्यादा डिफरेंशिएटेड है. सूटेबल फॉर, नेचुरली पहला है रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट, दूसरा है नॉन रिसर्च, सिविल कंस्ट्रक्शन, शिप बिल्डिंग एटसेट्रा. This is another example. So today, if you have any question, you can ask me, because I'm not starting with another example. That will take time. You don't have that much of time. See, जैसे ये एक कंस्ट्रक्शन का काम है, तो here CPM is being used. एक्टिविटीज का डिस्क्रिप्शन भी दिया हुआ है. एक्सकवेट, फाउंडेशन, रफ वॉल, रूफ, एक्सटीरियर प्लम्बिंग हो गया है, एक्सटीरियर प्लम्बिंग, इंटीरियर प्लम्बिंग, एक्सटीरियर साइडिंग, एक्सटीरियर पेंटिंग, इलेक्ट्रिक वर्क, वॉल बोर्ड, फ्लोरिंग. तो दिस इज द वे इट हैज broken down the whole project. Given the description of each activity is also given. Activity, this is the event. Excavation is the event. Then the predecessors are also given, and duration is also given. You can draw the network and find out what is the early start, early finish, what are the critical activities, and so on. This is another example on Pert. Okay, I'll send you this PPT. I don't have Subir's email address and Shivam. Any question?
मैम ईमेल एड्रेस क्या व्हाट्सएप में सेंड करेंगे?
नहीं, व्हाट्सएप में, हाँ व्हाट्सएप में सेंड कर देना, जो है ना OMB2 ग्रुप,
हाँ
उसमें सेंड कर देना.
ठीक है मैम, थैंक यू.
ओके मैम.
ओके, गुड नाइट.
गुड नाइट.
गुड नाइट मैम.
गुड नाइट.